California Congressman and House Budget Committee member Tom McClintock. Congressman, thanks for coming on, and happy holidays to you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Congressman, for folks that maybe tuned out over the Christmas holidays and are now just starting to tune back in, it certainly doesn't feel like much progress has been made. Has any progress been made, in your opinion?
Not to my knowledge, that's not true of the House. The House passed a funding bill that included funding for the border wall and all of the funding necessary to keep all aspects of the government open. It stopped dead in the Senate because of the Senate's cloture rule, which I think is the heart of the problem. Presumably, a majority of the Senate would have passed that bill. It would have been signed by the president weeks ago. But because the Senate maintains a cloture rule that gives Chuck Schumer the ability to block any legislation he doesn't like, that legislation's died there, along with all of the hundreds and hundreds of other bills that the House has sent to the Senate over the last 2 years, all stopped because of the cloture rule. And I don't blame Chuck Schumer for abusing that rule. I blame Mitch McConnell and the Senate Republicans for refusing to reform it.
So, Congressman, I understand that the House was able to pass a bill which would have given the president his $5 billion in funding for the wall, but there's virtually no way that Democrats are going to get on board with that, and they're now just days away from taking control of the House. So where might you and other Republicans in the House be willing to give?
Well, again, there's still a Senate Republican majority. There will be a House Democratic majority coming in on January the 3rd. And at that point, negotiations are going to have to be made in order to get anything done.
But can you give me a specific example of one specific point that you might be willing to compromise on?
Well, the president's already compromised on the amount of funding, but the Democrats refuse to negotiate. Republicans offered several bills to resolve the DACA situation and at the same time provide for border security so that by resolving DACA, we didn't encourage a whole new wave of illegal immigration. But those efforts were completely rebuffed by the Democrats in both the House and the Senate.
So Democrats say that they're waiting to hear from the White House. The White House says they're waiting to hear from Democrats. What are you hearing from the White House? Are they giving you any more guidance or indications of what specifically they are trying to do behind the scenes to get this shutdown solved?
They're trying to secure our border, which was a signature promise that the president made to the American people and upon which he was elected. Otherwise, we simply end up with a vast open territory between Mexico and Canada, both of which actually have borders and actually enforce their immigration laws.
And, Congressman, President Trump, he decided to stay in Washington, D.C. He canceled almost all of his holiday plans. No Christmas at Mar-a-Lago, no New Year's Eve at Mar-a-Lago. Do you think that Congress should have done the same and stayed in D.C. until this shutdown is resolved?
Well, that's the only way you can negotiate differences is to sit down and talk about them. I understand Nancy Pelosi is off in Hawaii. Really hard to negotiate when the seat of government is in Washington and the incoming House Speaker is vacationing in Hawaii, all the while complaining about a government shutdown.
Yes, Nancy Pelosi is vacationing in Hawaii, but, we also haven't seen the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell or the House Speaker. They haven't been on Capitol Hill since last Saturday. So, you walk around Capitol Hill and it is a bit of a ghost town. Curious if you think that plays well with the 800,000 federal employees who are really stuck in the middle of this.
Well, of course it doesn't, and it shouldn't. Again, the whole process of our government is based upon discussion, deliberation, negotiation, people talking with each other. That's what's broken down, and it hasn't broken down on the Republican side. As I said, Republicans sent a full bill from the House to the Senate on that subject. It was stopped dead in its tracks by the Senate Democrats. The president has repeatedly offered to compromise, again, completely rebuffed by the Senate Democrats and the House Democrats.
Well, Congressman, we sure hope a compromise is reached, and soon, as we now enter the 8th day of this partial government shutdown. Congressman, thank you so much for coming on, and Happy New Year.
My pleasure. Happy New Year to you.